Welcome, YouTubers, Rumble, Facebook. This is News with a View, a Fat Cat production. Today is July 20th. This is episode 106, and I am your host, John A. Costa. Sorry, the last couple of days I have not produced any shows. I've been working on a car. It's been temperatures above 100 degrees here, and this guy was beaten up. I apologize. There has been a lot in the news, but most of it's surrounding Epstein and Trump. It's really a distraction. So today what I'm going to do is we're going to be talking about Biden and his DOJ and things that went on with Biden. Some revelations. We keep hearing how Trump is, the big threat to democracy. He's the big threat to democracy. I'm going to point some things out that Biden tried to do under his administration. That he almost won. He almost was able to do it. And it has to do with Biden and the Department of Justice, Biden and the EPA. Then I'm going to talk about the LA driver in Hollywood that mowed a bunch of people down. Fourth thing today is MAGA Supports Trump on his Epstein situation. This stuff you're hearing about, the MAGA's turning against. Absolutely not. And it seems that President Trump is suing Wall Street Journal and I think someone else. Not sure. I was looking at it and I was laughing, so I said, yeah, it's always something. Always something. So it's the Wall Street Journal. He's suing for, mega billions. So we'll see how that turns out. A refreshment here. I worked again today outside. The heat index of 107 degrees. But the car must be repaired. And doing some heavy-duty chassis work, which I've never done before. So getting pretty beaten up by it. But my granddaughter did leave me a Hostess Twinkie for an energy boost. And I have my tissues here. Try not to get them in the picture. Can't guarantee it. But I am dying. Okay, let's go to it. For those of you that have not seen one of my podcasts before, I do take both sides of an opinion and a story. In this case, it's skewed towards, showing Biden in a bad light when it came to taking away your freedom. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I do not click my heels with any one person in a party. I did not disagree with everything that President Biden had done, and I don't agree with everything that President Trump has done or wants to do. So I look at common sense, which is lacking today, inside a moral bubble with, I'm going to take this shot because that shows the Constitution, what I'm talking about, with the U.S. Constitution. And that's an important aspect that I look at. Is it allowed? Can you do it? Can the president, as being head of the executive branch, can they do certain things? And that's where I said President Biden was allowed to do a lot of things. That was inside his privy of allowable things to do. Should he have done it? I wouldn't, but he could. And when the Republicans said, well, we're going to go after him in the Supreme Court, well, good luck with that, because it's allowed. So it's just much to do about nothing. In this case, and this came out of MSN. Biden DOJ sought a federal hook to treat protesting parents as domestic terrorists. Now we saw that happened in, I think, 2021. But now the files are opened up, and we could see exactly what their thinking was in taking that step. And that was former Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland, who I said before was a decent judge. I didn't want to see him as a Supreme Court judge because he was so politically aligned with the left, not even with the Democrats, with the left. The Democrats were never the left, just so you know. They became the left because they locked in step with a lot of their ideology of the progressives, which directly went against our Constitution. So, American First Legal asked to get this information, and they coordinated with the National School Board Association and finding out exactly Biden DOJ's officials rushed to draft Garland's memo mobilizing federal authorities to respond to people at PTA meetings complaining about LGBT education being forced on children, as well as critical, science, critical history. With the mask mandates, critical race theory, and transgender school policies. Now, you got to remember at the time, too, that was COVID going on, and there was a lot to do with masks. So, but in an email dated October 1st, Tamara Matthews Johnson, who served as Garland's counsel in the Office of the Attorney General, forwarded press clips to Kevin Chambers of the Deputy Attorney General's office, writing, "Just checking that you are aware," in reference to the NSBA letter. Now, the NSBA letter, again, was the National School Board Associations. We're aware. The challenge here is finding a federal hook. Chambers replied about a half hour later, but the White House has been in touch about whether we can assist in some form or fashion. So, October 2nd, following the federal hook email, then Deputy Associate U.S. Attorney General Sparkle Skookanen, now a Biden-appointed federal judge, contacted a team of attorneys in the DOJ Civil Rights Division requesting an over-the-weekend turnaround to identify any authorities CRT enforces that could help address the issue. And CRT, of course, is a critical race theory. So what was happening? Attorney General Sparkle Skookman, unbelievable, was saying, hey, dig up, I want to see how far we can go with this legally. And that's all right. You can go and see how much juice something has. And it seems we are ramping up an awful lot of federal manpower, which is what is currently a non-federal, conduct, meaning that the actions that the parents were doing was not a federal issue. How can we make it a federal issue? It appears to me that the vast majority of the behavior cited cannot be reached by federal law. I only saw 3 stories that involved what sounded like a possible true threat, and one of those, the North Fork story, did not appear to be related to masks. Now remember, this was the mask deal. The attorney noted in the Sparkle. Almost all the language being used is protected by the First Amendment. The main issue seems to be disruption and obstruction of school board meetings, which could be reached by local trespassing laws or disturbing of the peace laws, but nothing remotely federal. So Sparkle is saying, hey, whoa, I see a lot of these back and forth emails going back, and you're looking for a means to get the feds involved. Not a federal issue. Nothing here is being federally, warranted for us to be spending this type of time and energy on. However, the attorney suggested something like the FACE Act, a federal law protecting access to abortion clinics in order to criminalize physically obstructions of schools and school board meetings. You could lean to that federal ruling. You might have seen this letter to the president and company reporting on threats against school board members. The department may need to say something publicly today about its response to those threats. So unfortunately, this is a quick turn request, Suknin had stated. Suknin looped in Robert Mosey and Pamela Carlin, both top attorneys in the Department of Civil Rights, in the event this might be actionable. So he was saying, listen, the only thing I could see is the FACE Act. But we're not really talking about that. Carlin initially advised that the incident cited by the NSBA likely falls outside of our jurisdiction, meaning the federal. After back and forth all day between parties, Carlin told Snookman, I think this is the end of the line, to which Snookman said, thanks very much, Pam, I'll pass it on. Meaning that, hey, stop wasting your time with this, because it's not a federal issue. And, there's no more need to discuss this in emails. So, on Sunday, October 3rd, one day prior to the publication of Garland's memo, a career attorney in the Civil Rights Division expressed concern directly to Mosey after examining the NSBA letter, citing a lack of statutory authority or legal basis to target otherwise First Amendment protected speech. So they're saying, can't do it. Can't do it. So again, it appears that ramping up a lot of forces here on a freedom of speech issue, which we can't say anything about. this became a major problem for Biden, that he wanted to go and not Biden, but Biden's administration. This was, I don't know yet whether Biden would sat down and go, hey, go after these PTA groups. You don't know. Because no one knows what Biden was doing, honestly. Honestly. No one knows yet. Maybe Trump knows, maybe Patel knows, but anyone else, we don't know what the hell he was doing or who was telling him to do it. So FBI ordered to release documents about Bureau's response to the NSBA letter. Because remember, the FBI got involved. American First Legal says these newly uncovered documents, complete with timeline of events that occurred between the NSBA letters and Garland's department-wide memo. And in the statement on the legal group finding, America First Legal President Gene Hamilton said, the Biden administration appears to have engaged in a conspiracy that was ultimately aimed at depriving parents of two fundamental rights: the rights to speak and the right to direct the upbringing of their children. So what they're saying is that what Biden administration was trying to do through the FBI was strong on the parents by taking away. Now, this was a major story back in the day that got squashed. Now, why is it coming up now? Biden's gone. This stuff kind of faded away, but it almost happened. And all we hear from people is that Trump is Hitler. Trump is Putin. Trump is taking our rights away. Our democracy will be gone. And none of that is on the horizon or has happened. But look back at what Biden was trying to do. And can you say that? Can you honestly say that? So there was truth in what people were saying back then. You're taking our rights away. You're making us wear masks. You're keeping us in our homes illegal. You're keeping us in our away from outside activities. Now, they could scream all they want that this was a epidemic and blah, blah, blah. But we had epidemics before, and none of that ever happened. Now, you did have people back in the day, if you had measles, the house got a sign put on it, measles, and, you know, they had to stay quarantined. Yeah. Yep. And that was allowed. But what was done during COVID, absolutely, history looked back at that at a very, very dark time. We got so close to losing our independence and being driven by not fear, but by an agenda that a party had to keep you locked up, to keep you under their control. While the Democrats went to parties, had their hair done, traveled, they weren't hampered by this. They were not hampered by it. And they weren't affected by it. Do as I say, not as I do type of mentality. And this is what's been going on. And you talk about, Trump, oh, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Oh, they're taking away our freedoms. None of it. None of it. What he's doing is exercising your freedom. The Constitution. And again, I tell you, there is no limit of executive power. There is none. So he's not grabbing power. This is not a test of the Constitution and executive powers. This is defining what they are. And it's much different. Much, much different. You have district judges, again, they're lining up just to do battle with him in 5 days. Let me tell you, the gloves truly, truly come off. And you're going to see, not from the right, because we don't burn things down, we don't riot, and what happened January 6th was a riot. It was not an insurrection, it was a riot. These people, were they swayed and pushed by people to do it? I think outside agitators, not certainly the president. So the idea that, this was an insurrection, it might have been the only insurrection that ever took place that had no weapons or no support of the military or anything like that. So there was no insurrection. People scream, insurrection, insurrection. They have no idea what the hell they're talking about. They were trying to find, if they found Pence, they would have hung him. Yeah, you say that. They were running around with a rope. Yeah. Yeah. You say that. That's not insurrection. And you tried every step. States tried to interpret the Constitution of the 14th. They couldn't do it. You're not allowed. The only one that could bring an insurrection charge is the federal government, and none was made. Jack Smith tried to find it and said, I couldn't put the square peg in a round hole. And then you had people say, well, that's because people wouldn't testify. Oh, no. People exercise their Fifth Amendment right, which I tell everyone. You're in trouble. Exercise your Fifth Amendment right with your attorney. If the government has proof that you did a crime, let them present it forward. Don't help them with it. They have to prove their case. You never have to prove your innocence. So, when I hear people go, but they did it because they wouldn't talk to them. They don't have to. That's part of our rights. I don't have to agree to a search. You could force a search on me. But if I tell you I'm exercising my Fourth Amendment right and my Fifth Amendment right, my Fifth Amendment right, steadfast. I could just sit there. After I give them my cursory information, who I am and everything, you must give that. But after that, nope. Not without an attorney. And, they'll tell you, well, hey, pal, innocent people don't need a lawyer. Yeah. Let me tell you, when the police are arrested, they don't talk without a lawyer there because they know. So, and your Fourth Amendment right can be breached by a court order or a threat. A threat, a policeman sees you with a gun and he takes it from you. Yeah, at that point, he can search you up and down, search your vehicle. That's it. That's there's probable cause. You don't need a warrant. A warrant is when they go, it was a warrantless arrest. If a peace officer sees you committing a crime, or he feels he has enough information to think you have just committed a crime or committing it in the process of, he can arrest you. He can arrest you. Doesn't need a warrant, doesn't need a judge's order, doesn't need anything. He can arrest you. Or she can arrest you. They can arrest you. Well, pronouns. So, just saying that. That's almost 25 minutes of talking about how Biden tried. And when I say Biden, it's his administration. It's like when you say Trump, it's not Trump. It's his administration. But Biden gave the walking orders, as does Trump. This is the agenda. This is the path I want you to follow. And you try everything you can under legal means. Let the courts tell us we can't do something. But in the meantime, do it. So, until we're told not to, unless it's so grossly, apparent, let the courts challenge us. Everyone does it. That's what happens. All right. Second story was how the Biden EPA scrambled to beat the clock and route billions to political allies. And this is also an MSN, which is interesting. They're kind of digging into Biden politics. I don't know why now. This was all known back in Biden time. The Biden Environmental Protection Agency, which I don't like when they go, the Biden. It wasn't. It was the EPA. It was during the Biden administration, just like it's the EPA under the Trump administration or the Department of Justice. So it's not like, but they are the executive branch over all that. So, yeah, you could say Biden Environmental Protection Agency. I don't know. I never liked that. And to say they hastily shoveled billions in taxpayer dollars to Democratic-aligned green groups without having concrete agreements in place, according to documents obtained by watchdog group Protect the Public Trust, PPT. Again, a lot of these things I've never heard of. Never heard of. But I'm sure it's there, and I'm sure it probably has some truth to it. The documents indicate that the Biden EPA awarded grants under the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, GGRF. I love all this stuff. A program that shelled out $20 billion to nonprofit linked to Democratic donors and insiders on a timeline that allowed changes to the terms even after the money was awarded. The Biden EPA had until September 2024 to award the taxpayer funds, and staffs were advised to delay outstanding questions and issues in order to meet the looming award deadline, the documents indicate. So, they're saying that normally they have to ask questions on, all right, money, the time you're going to do, how you're going to do it, who you're going to use to do it, who's it going to impact, and so forth. A scope of the project. A concept. Give me the concept and how you're going to push that concept forward. And the timeline was September 2024. Now, at 2024, they knew at that point that Harris was not going to win. And they needed to get this money out to their Democratic benefactors. And when I say benefactors, these were people who helped Biden, who gave money to the DNC, and they were going to get their reward. So Biden administration allegedly said, don't worry about the questions. Don't worry about the timeline. Don't worry about it. Just get this money out by September 2024. And so they just started writing checks and did not follow their own guidelines. Now, the they said that it looks very shady. And Michael Chamberlain, director of PPT, told the Daily Caller News Foundation, the irony is that the federal employees start cutting red tape and expediting a process to make sure taxpayer money is irrecoverable to the taxpayers. It's clear from these documents that Biden's CPA cut corners to get the money obligated before the funds expired September 30th, 2024. Even if it meant finalizing agreements with grantees they fully intended to renegotiate later. In the private sector, this is the kind of thing that sometimes lands people in jail. So what they're saying, Chamberlain is making the accusation, is that we'll be able to revisit the language, or as it's called, like in contracts, an opener. But I know I'm supposed to do all this before I do give you the money, but we're going to give you the money, and later on we're going to ask all these other questions, but you'll have the money. Yeah, that's very, very shady. Because what really happens now is you can't get that money back. It's been spent. It's been routed 1 billion times around. You'll never get the money back. But what you might be able to do is put people in jail. And then some of these top people that might have pardons, and I say this, that people that were given presidential pardons where, everything is forgiven that you've done 10 years prior to the date of this pardon, can't touch you. But the question of, are you able to still exercise your Fifth Amendment right? Because you can't self-incriminate yourself of that crime. You're already golden. Could you be compelled as a witness for the state? I'm not going against you. We're already saying this person, if they get up on the stand and says they murdered 5 people in the last 10 years, we can't do anything. But we're allowed to ask him, did this take place? And who told you to do this? And again, this is not a criminal matter. You can't be held criminally liable for it. So there's no expectation that you need to protect, yourself from self-incrimination. You got a golden ticket. So they could turn around and say, yeah, Joe Blow told me, get this money out the door. And you know what? I did it. And that would be it. They go, thank you. You know that that was a violation of the law and of your procedures and everything? Yeah, yeah, fully aware of it. I knew of it back then that it was illegal to do. All right, listen, I got dinner at 5 o'clock going. Bye. And that would really be it. There wouldn't be anything they could go after. But then they could go back to those people that had the pardon. Now, let's say that person did have the pardon. And he's up there and he goes, yep, yep. But during that course of him talking about and being asked questions, if they lie and commit perjury, they're not protected from that. That's a new crime. Doesn't mean you can go after the old crime, but you could charge them with a new crime right then and there. And that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to go after them. And the idea of presidential power flowing down, where you were a presidential insider, our conversations between the president and me, that might be sacrosanct. But that has been proved otherwise. And Trump screamed when Biden allowed it. He goes, I'll still protect you under it. You can give, and I'll protect you under it. We're not going to undo it. And Trump screamed, that's the biggest offense to the president of any president. And then Trump, said the same thing now about the Biden people. Hey, if you talk, I'll protect you. Don't worry. Don't worry. We'll consider you a whistleblower. But we'll protect you. And if you have a pardon, we're not taking the pardon away from you. We're not looking after you. So, what Michael Chamberlain also said, although the money was legally committed in August 2024, the Biden EPA mapped out a timeline that extended revising terms and conditions past the September deadline to resolve outstanding issues through December 31st, 2024. Another slide notes that the looming deadline and argues that the EPA staff needs to accept that not all questions will be resolved prior to the award. So there's a letter out saying, it's okay. We know that this could happen. Don't worry about it. Get the money out the door. So, lots of shenanigans with the Biden administration and money. This guy was freewheeling. Anyone that wanted money got it from Biden, as long as they were leftists and hated Republicans and had the progressive agenda. Here's the pen, just write out what you need. We'll sign it over there. Next. So, all right. The next one is not a shocker, or what I would consider, I don't normally take on these type of headline grabbers. Hollywood crash latest. This happened Friday night. Driver who plowed into crowd injuring 23 had been thrown out of the club earlier. So this guy used his car. Injured 23 people. I think 10 are in serious condition and a few are in very critical condition. Where's the call to outlaw cars? 23 people. Where's the call from And people will go, "Oh, that's ridiculous. Just stop it. Now you're just being stupid. You're being crazy." Well, he used his vehicle as a weapon. All right. So, 7 people are in critical condition after the driver of a Nissan Versa. I don't know why they're going to say Nissan Versa of a vehicle. Crashed into revelers, and they weren't revelers, outside the Vermont Hollywood Club at the corner of Vermont Avenue and Santa Monica Boulevard at 2 a.m. This happened on Saturday, but I said Friday, but Saturday at 2 a.m. And this person who drove the car said that that person was ejected from the club for causing a disturbance. What happened afterwards were bystanders pulled this alleged driver from his vehicle and started assaulting him. The moment was captured on video. Makes for some fun watching. A little street justice. From review of the video, he went up on the sidewalk further down, and when he hit bystanders, it was an intentional act. So it wasn't like he was driving and he lost control of his car, and these people were in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was pulled from the car, handcuffed by security, and then beaten by bystanders before being shot in the back by an individual from across the street. So, what's very important here is police said the suspected gunman used a silver revolver and remains at large. Is he white? Is he black? Is he tall? Is he short? Is he fat? Is he skinny? What was he wearing? But he had a silver revolver. There were no silver revolvers. It was nickel plated. These people are unbelievable. So Los Angeles Police Department and Fire Department called it a large, chaotic scene. Yeah. I want to know when cars will be outlawed in LA. They're not saying, didn't give a description, at least when I read this article. There was no description of the assailant who shot. There was no description of the assailant who allegedly ran these people over. Historically speaking, when that happens, we know that they, for certain, are not white. You know, because it'd always be white male. White male. So when they don't, then we start questioning. We're like, all right. You know, you didn't mention their color, so now we have to guess. Instead of reporting, and they got a video of the guy put his picture up there. Get it out the door. Yepsy. And then they wonder how Trump can win. Yeah, you sit there. All you liberals sit there. Can't believe how dumb America is. They elected Trump. Look at the news they feed you, that they feed you from the left. Unbelievable. And I know darn well that if there was a publication that said it was Hispanic looking or blah, 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 or black looking or non-white, They'd be all racist, racist, racist. What does it matter? Well, silver gun mattered as a description, right? All right, enough with that. I normally don't discuss those things because they're not truly affect our everyday lives. It affects those people very much. No doubt about that. But it doesn't conflict. No one is saying, what he did was right, blah, blah, blah. We all know he's wrong. It's just, what's their reaction going to be? And when I say their reaction, what are the LA Democrats going to do about it? Maybe they should have curfews. I don't know. Don't know. All right. Now, there's a lot of stuff. It's funny. The Wall Street Journal, unbelievable. These papers are, they just think they could print and say anything they want. And it's interesting that they keep poking the bear. All right. MAGA comes to Trump's defense on Epstein after Wall Street Journal turmoil. Influential figures in MAGA who have pushed the administration to release more documents related to Jeffrey Epstein's case are coming to President Trump's defense after the Wall Street Journal stated in an article that the commander-in-chief allegedly sent a lewd letter to the disgraced financier and convicted sex offender over 20 years ago. The Journal had published on Thursday about an alleged letter the president sent to Epstein in 2003 for his 50th birthday. The letter, a copy of which was not featured, was not shown, and reportedly had a text framed by the outline of a naked woman and features the line, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Trump has denied writing the letter. The president sued the Journal the next day in federal court, demanding billions of dollars in damages. All right? And Trump said on his social media page, "This lawsuit is filed not only on behalf of your favorite president, me, but also in order to continue standing up for all Americans who will no longer tolerate the abusive wrongdoings of fake news media," the president said on his Truth Social account. So Trump got up there and said, "You want to say this crap about me? I'm suing you." And he's been pretty successful. The Wall Street Journal stopped being about Wall Street and started doing this stuff because, less eyeballs, they have to be, they have to be relevant. And I'm just looking over there. I look to make sure my feed is still going. I'm still recording, and that I only speak for about an hour, so I got about 10 minutes more of this. Trump's former chief strategist, Steve Bannon. Now, Steve Bannon, who last week called for special prosecutors to be appointed to review the Epstein files, said on his War Room show Friday, "In fact, we made the recommendations that are best for the president in this movement, which is President Trump is best when he's attacked." And he goes, attack, attack, attack. The president responds best to chaos. I've said that he does his best during chaos. This is the deep state. This is the ruling class in America. They're trying to use it to destroy President Trump. The Wall Street Journal is trying to destroy Trump. On the podcast, Bannon asked MAGA podcasters and influencers, Jack Posobiec, that's not even a name, Posobiec, yeah. Where are we all in this, sir? And he said, we're back. Look, everyone is firing on all cylinders. The MAGA movement is completely united behind this fight right now. And I'm going to say this, and I've been saying this since the beginning, contrary to my brother, who is a conservative, kind of, probably more of a independent, but a conservative, that this whole Epstein thing is a distraction. This is the only thing the Democrats can have. This is the only piece that will grab the attention of liberals to buy the paper, to look at it, to listen to an article, is an Epstein piece. And it's a distraction. In 120 days, well, actually more, 160 days that Trump has been in power. Look at what he has done. Look at what he has achieved that he said he would do. Now, I've said from the beginning with the Epstein thing, and, you know, is there a list? Of course there was a list. Of course this was a list. He had to know who to put people together, who was a player, who was out, who was off to the side now, who could be trusted, who couldn't be trusted, who could I lean on, who couldn't I lean on. Epstein was a procurer. He put people that could not be seen working together behind the scenes. He didn't care who he worked for. And the United States and some of our allies in the intelligence community just said, man, keep us informed on who's doing what. That's all. And if you get jammed up over here, call this number. If you get jammed up over there, you call that number. He went a lot to Eastern European countries that were no longer, you know, under Soviet control. Remember, that ended, fellas. That ended a long time ago. But you went to a lot of these countries, and he went there, and it was the Wild West for those countries because they had just regained their freedom. And here was a guy coming and, you know, saying, hey, you know, I could help you out. And the Soviet Union left a lot of armor over here and a lot of rifles and a lot of bullets and stuff. And, you know, hey, I got a friend who knows this guy in Africa that's looking for this. Can't do a cash deal, but can do diamonds. Might be able to do gold. But he just can't show up here. He doesn't know how to navigate it. So I'm going to help him navigate it. He's going to pay me. And then you're going to pay me. Now, he did not rat people out. He did not blackmail people because he would never get another customer. People came to him because he got the job done. He was discreet. He was quiet about it. He had his own island. No one was going to come to that island and knock on his door. No one could get on that island unless they went through his security and his thing. And you bet your ass that if you had dignitaries there from European countries, that they had people protecting that area, and they knew exactly where Mr. X was at all times. So he was a procurer. And I don't know what happened on why they stopped going to him or what the problem was. It certainly was not, the girls that, complained that, hey, I was over there, I was 18, and he used me. That goes nowhere. You were 18. And then when they started saying he was using underage girls, that became a problem. Then people started saying, hey, can't be seen with you. I got to cut my ties. I have to go a different avenue. I might not be happy about it, but you got these women making these complaints now, and you had the Me Too movement going. What have you heard about that? So that became a liability. People on that list that either the Biden administration had, now the Trump administration might have had it too. Obama might have had a list that they knew that this guy was what he was doing and who he was meeting. I'm sure they did. You think MI5 and MI6 is going to let one of the crown heads go around and not see who's, what's going on there? Who's he meeting? You think that's going to happen? You think the Russian oligarchs that were going there, the Eastern European ones that were going there, that governments weren't going to say, hey, this guy's on the move. Where's he going? Oh, he just landed at Epstein's Island, or he landed in Miami, then took a helicopter or something. They knew. They knew. And there is no evidence in there that would go, aha. Let's go down this path. There might be information in there of all these people that he had tentacles to that had nothing to do with the island or anything like that. Or maybe they did. Who knows? Don't know. And honestly, don't care. But what the problem that Trump is, I'm sure, facing is that some of these people on that list were heavy donors. And not only heavy donors for the Republicans, heavy donors for a Democrat too. You got to pay to play. So if it's a Democrat, this is how this other guy was helping me. Now you're the other guy. How can you help me? And you saw how long this guy was in power for and stuff, and that's what it was all about. These are heavy donor, and not just American donors. I'm sure there's a lot of countries in there: Israel, England, France, Germany, Russia, China, Taiwan, Japan, Vietnam, all of them, Australia, they were all part of it. All part of it. And now, Trump, who said, hey, I'm, it's a campaign thing, I'm gonna release it. Well, he won. Now they're asking, and he goes, well, and Pam Bundy probably goes, oh yeah, we'll release it. And then she gets it and starts looking at it, and she goes, we can't release this. Now, there was no way that Trump's name is on there, because if Trump's name was on there, believe me, that would have been out. They would have thrown that out, and they would have cared less. If Clinton's name was on there, and a lot of shenanigans that took place under the Clinton administration, maybe even shenanigans that were taking place under the Bush the first administration. We can't put this stuff out there. Too many. The casualty report will be huge from this, and we just can't do it. You just can't do it. Come up with a reason why. You were the one who spouted you're going to do it. Now you can't. Better come up with a good reason. It better make sense. And like I said, honestly, this is the only thing the Democrats have. Why aren't the Democrats screaming, now show us the election fraud? Why aren't they screaming that? Show us, you screamed election fraud. Why aren't they pigtailing this into that? Because they don't want that. And probably most of them know there's an active investigation going on. Maxwell was already found guilty. Epstein is dead. Again, anytime I discuss Epstein, he's sitting somewhere laughing about this. And no, he's not in Israel. He'd be in one of those Eastern European countries, living large. All right, with that, I'm going to end it. And there's some other news that's happening that tomorrow. And I don't know about tomorrow. If I'll do a show, I'll try. Tomorrow's a heavy car day. And again, it's going to be hot. It was 107 degrees today. And Fat Cat here was under a car doing suspension work on my back. But I got it. I'm all cut up and bruised up. But I got it. But now, those parts are off. The car is up on jacks. This is a pristine neighborhood. I had to hide the car between the two other cars and a car in the front because they don't like cars on blocks. And it's not on blocks, they're on jack stands. And tomorrow the wheels will go back on it, so it will look all right. It will still be up on jack stands, but they'll be up off the ground a little bit. But if I had a foreign car that I was keeping here on the outside with a cover over, and taking the wheels off the ground so they don't get tire rot, no one would say anything. So I don't think they're going to say anything. I think by Thursday I'll have the car put back together and everything going. It's an old car. It's an old car. Had 6 computer code errors, problems. I fixed them all without replacing a part. Broken wires. And I watch a guy, Eric, on South Main Street South or something, self-made auto mechanic or whatever, on YouTube. He's got 1 billion people watching him. It's fantastic. And he, on his YouTube, he shows you how to test parts. He goes, just don't shotgun and I'll replace this part, I'll replace that part. He goes, part might be good. And, you know, let's see why. And then, you know, and that's exactly what I did. I said, oh, I'm getting both O2 sensors are no good. No way. Checked them. They're good. What's in common with the O2 sensor? Plus 12 volts. It's 12 volts there. Oh, look at that. 12 volts is there. What's the other common loop? Goes back into the computer via a wire. And so I start testing it, and I'm moving bundles of wires around. Now I've got to go and find the broken wire. And I find it. If there's one broken wire, there's going to be more broken wires. So I'll go to the other sensors. This one's giving a problem. Why is this one? Oh, these are all connected. Look at that. Fix one of them, bang, now they're all working. So, you know, I was about almost willing to throw $190 or $250 towards 3 parts, just to rule them out, and I didn't have to. So I saved the person who's doing, whose car I'm working on, family, from that expense. And then while I'm underneath the car, I don't know what they hit. Looked like a freaking landmine. And you go to the auto parts, say, I need these parts. And they're like, all right, that's $680. And I go, all right. No, car's not worth it. So I go home, go online, I get the parts for $170. And an article on how to test this other, I've never heard of a magnetic shock absorber that GM uses. $400 each. I go, there's got to be some way to test it. And I found a way to test it. And I go, they were telling her, the other people that owned the car, they had to be replaced and they weren't going to do it. I go, they're not leaky. They're not, normally a shock absorber, you'd see it leak or something. Nothing. And I said, but it does have a little sensor. How does that work? Through another little computer. Well, looky here. And I was able to use a scope to see that it's sending data and it's the right data levels and everything. I go, there's nothing wrong with them. And I even tested them. Put a jack underneath the tire to raise it, and I could watch the level change until put more pressure or increase it to however magic it worked. I go, all right. That's $800 you don't have to spend. So I got a nice car, and I was able to fix the key fob remote. Wasn't turning the car on, but it wasn't the key fob because it was transmitting. I got a little tester for that. Found another broken wire. A lot of broken wires in those cars, but they were all in the obvious spots where they turn and are near like the engine. And I go, but why? And I know why. People had taken stuff apart and then put the clips back on. And then I found a strut motor mount that was bad. And I go, that was just enough to shake the engine just a little bit, but really nothing that it would, make the engine lift or anything. And I put a new one in, $30, $22. Taped everything up. Put anti-friction, did everything that I was supposed to do in all the corners, everything, and go with God. So, all right, enough about me. As I always say, if you can donate money to a charity, please do. Doesn't have to be a lot. A little helps. Make sure it's a bona fide charity. You go to the charity. Don't have them come to you. Because I always worry when, you get an email and it says, hey, it's these people or that. And go there and check them out. And then give what you can. But if you're not comfortable with doing that, give to a food bank. It helps people. And that food goes locally to people that need it. And in some places they pack it up and they go like to North Carolina or Florida or Georgia where there's storms and people are, the shopping centers are destroyed too. When the lights go out and everything goes and everything happens, there's no place to get food. You might have to travel 50 miles now if you don't have a car anymore. What do you do? So these charities with food banks and that go out, like the Samaritans, they go out. They're wonderful. They're a lifesaver. I watched them in action in Florida after Irma. A lifesaver. Until the government can come in and start organizing. Your government, those wheels grind slow, baby. They do grind and they do turn, but it is slow. So give to a food bank. Say a prayer. Prayer works. And with that, I'm going to end it. I'm going to fade right to black and then end my YouTube feed. This is going out live. So I'll have this up here this evening sometimes. I got to recover. I'll probably put this up at about 8:30, 9 o'clock tonight. It is 5:25 now. And I'm still cooked from being outside. So I need I need an hour just to regroup here after a shower, after doing everything. And I'm still tired. But with that, I'm going to say good night. God bless. Everyone take care. Leave a comment, except you, Bob. I don't like your comments. No, I'm only kidding. Bob in New York always leaves me good comments. My weight has nothing to do with it, Bob. So just stop those comments. All right. With that, I'll see you all later as I fade to black.